this changes nothing. This changes everything. I wake to sad news. People killed for their views. Freedoms granted, taken away. Heavy is my heart today. No lynchings here, just shooting and fear. No, I will not shed a tear. They were killed because they were queer. We live in a land of false promise. The religions can teach hatred and shame, all in his or her name. The Constitution, written from revolution, presides over these religious executions. This martyr's soul takes a heavy toll. His religious virtues I hear extolled. My heart grows cold. This hatred has grown old. These monsters prey and then prey upon innocence. How to be offended by another's actions when your religion is filled with hate? We sponsor these cults as a state. Then it follows we as a state condone the actions of these cults. Does your God trump my Constitution? Is killing me or them your religious solution? I stand for freedom in all of its many forms. This then has become the norm. They kill us for any reason under the sun. And when I speak about it, it's me who shine. If this is the way of things, then I guess they have already won.
Birdman, 313.
Yay!
All right, it's already emotional. That's great. Don't sit down. Don't pass go.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It certainly is.
Yeah. I'm gonna do something different today. Normally I do a poem,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna talk about one of my heroes. I'm gonna read some of his quotes. And I met this gentleman. I know a lot of you youngsters in here don't. Yeah, you know about him, but you don't know about him. You heard about him? Oh, you know.
Because I'm sorry.
Oh, it's
Because you
about.
started doing this, like.
Yeah. It's some of the quotes of Muhammad Ali. I got a chance to meet him at 75 when I was a sophomore in college. I was home for the summer. He came to my hometown of Benton Harbor, Michigan. And he came there and he eventually moved there in a place called Berry Springs.
Okay.
The home that he bought was once owned by Al Capone.
Whoa.
So, and one of my good friends that I go visit when I go back there lives right down the street. So he said, hey, if you want to go take pictures of his home, you can. And my friend, he actually had pictures of him and his whole family with Muhammad Ali. So, and some of these quotes I did use because I used to play pro ball. And it was some of them, I'm glad I used them because I don't think I would have made it. Yeah, but hey.
Okay.
And this first one, he says, and this is a good one, he says, I know where I'm going and I know the truth. I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want.
Yep.
I hated, this is the one I used, trust me, training camp was
Tough.
tough. And I actually got a chance to go to 5 training camps and each one was different and brutal. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. So, you know, even though I didn't make it in the NBA, I still feel like a champion because I got that chance of going to camps and I played against a lot of the NBA players. And they was bigger than me and stronger. But yes. But I did play 7 years of semi-pro basketball, which was fun. Got a chance to travel, meet a lot of people. Just what I'm doing now, but except it's in poetry.
Yeah.
Okay, friendship is not something you learn in school, but if you haven't learned the meaning of friendship, you really haven't learned anything. I've made my share of mistakes along the way, but if I have changed even one life for the better, I haven't lived in vain. And that's what I try to do with my poetry. I try to do that. You know, I make mistakes every day, but hey, I'm still here.
Yeah.
The next one, only a man who knows what it's like to be defeated can reach down to the bottom of his soul and come up with the extra ounce of power it takes to win when the match is even. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it. That's one of her favorites there. This next one is, It's lack of faith that makes people afraid of meeting challenges, and I believe in myself. A man who views the world the same at 50 as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life.
Yeah.
Only a man who knows what it is like to be defeated can reach down to the bottom of his soul and come up with the extra ounce of power it takes to win when the match is even. I think I read that once before. But yeah, I got these all. Champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside of them. A desire, a dream, a vision. They have to have last-minute stamina. They have to be a little faster. They have to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. Impossible is just a big, Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing.
Wow.
And this last one, and I know everybody heard it, but growing up in the streets, there you go. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The hand can't hit, but the eyes can't see.
And the lucky duck who gets to follow that is Donna. Birdwell. Woo! Put the two birds together. All right. Here we go.
All right. So this is what I was planning to read originally, which is an excerpt from my latest novel, which is available at Malvern Books. And it's set in the future, for those of you who are not familiar with my work. This is volume 2 in my Recall Chronicles series, set 110 or so years into the future. My main character here is named Malia, and in the excerpt that I'm going to read, the bookstore and pub where she works has just been raided by the corporate police, and she's escaped. It was undeliverable. I tried to check Recall for news, but it was shut down. I knew they did this periodically when the political situation grew unusually tense. That knowledge only deepened my concern over Leo. Leo's her boyfriend. She has no idea what's happened to him. Having no other recourse, I accessed some reports on Flix News and corporate news network, hoping for some information. There was nothing. Of course not, I thought. They'll never acknowledge last night even happened. Scared and desperate, I finally decided I had to go look for Z and Beat. I had to know what was going on. Maybe I'd read too many old spy novels, but I decided I ought to put on dark glasses and hat. Since it was cold, I also wore a scarf, which I pulled up to partially cover my face. I went out onto the street, looking exactly like a woman with something to hide. I wished Beat and Z were still living in the old apartment, which was only a few blocks south of Leo's and my place. But of course, both of them had long since moved into more comfortable quarters. Beat's place was closer, so I headed there. I knew it would be a long hike, but I thought I could make it before dark, and I didn't want to be shoved in among other people on public transport, under the watchful eye of the surveillance cameras. I was exhausted by the time I arrived, especially after climbing up the 2 flights of stairs. I knocked on Beat's door. I heard noises from inside and then silence. Shit, I thought. Looking up at the tiny camera above the door, I removed my scarf, my hat, and my dark glasses. The door opened. Oh my God, Malia, you made it out. Where have you been? We've been trying to reach you. Beat grabbed me in a bear hug. Her husband Robert headed for the kitchen, offering to make tea. Make that chocolate, Bob, Beat called to him, with a shot of whiskey. I think this woman needs comfort. She helped me out of my coat and led me to the sofa. I'd begun to tremble and the tears were starting up again. Have you heard from Leo? My voice shook. Not yet. You know the whole recall zone is on standby right now. That's for protection, you know. Quill and Sheaf may not have been the only place that got raided. This may have been a much broader crackdown. I can't believe recall would go to such extreme measures over a single raid on a pub. And a bookstore, I added. How do we find Leo? That's going to be a problem, but I promise you, as soon as recall is back, I'll use their portals to do some poking around and see if I can locate him. I summoned up the last shreds of my severely shaken faith in humankind, wanting desperately to believe that Beat would find Leo for me. I needed to believe that. What about Z? I asked. She's gone missing too. But it wasn't her band that was performing. I didn't think she was even there. I didn't see her. No, she wasn't there, but I've been in touch with her wife. Darlene says Z had a gig across town. She didn't come home. Darlene hasn't been able to get in touch with her. I stared at the carpet. Yeah, maybe this was bigger than Quill and Sheaf. You can stay here with us, Beat said, after we'd finished our spiked hot chocolate and impromptu sandwiches. You have to consider the possibility that the corporate cops will go to your and Leo's place looking for whatever it is they look for. Although more and more they don't seem too concerned with actually producing evidence of anything. They just do as they please. Anyway, you'll be safe here. So I stayed with Beat and Robert. I didn't go back to mine and Leo's place for a week. I didn't do much of anything for a week. I had no job to go to. I was afraid to go back to Quill and Sheaf, even to see what might be left of our inventory of books. It would never be a shop again, I was certain of that. The second day at Beats, I went out and bought some clothes, another pair of pants, a blouse, a sweater, underwear. The third day, I went for a walk in a nearby park. Maybe it was my imagination, but it seemed everyone was walking with their heads down, walking quickly, not looking right or left. Everyone seemed focused inward, sad, afraid. As I said, maybe it was my imagination. But after that, I stayed in Beat's apartment reading books. I'm going back to my place, I announced one morning as Beat was about to leave for work. Leo had been missing for a week. The recall zone had come back up 2 days before, and we'd searched repeatedly for information about him, finding nothing. Beat didn't object to my decision. She was probably grateful to reclaim her privacy, although living with me had probably been more like having a resident ghost than a roommate. Be watchful, she said, and keep in touch. She'd rescripted my digilette for the new recall configurations that likely did not include Eleonore Gaston. I could sense him beginning to disappear. I entered the building through a back service entrance and stood in the hallway near our apartment for several minutes. I told myself I was checking for suspicious characters and surveillance devices, although I had no idea what such characters and devices might look like in real life. Finally, I allowed myself to go inside. Things looked disturbingly untouched. The book I'd been reading was still on the side table next to the sofa, a scrap of paper marking my place. The violin Leo had been repairing lay on the dining table. On the kitchen counter were the remains of our final hasty meal together, painted now in varicolored mold. The last drops of our wine encrusted the bottoms of 2 glasses with crystalline blood-red deposits. One glass bore faint traces of lipstick. Our computers also appeared untouched. I scanned my own first and then Leo's. If anyone had been there, if anyone had gone through our things, I could find no trace. It was unnerving. Everything looked the same, and yet I knew everything had changed. It would never be the same. I knew I was leaving. I downloaded my latest unfinished manuscript and a few stories and essays into a portable screen and some photos of Leo and me. I deleted everything else. I hesitated over Leo's computer and then wiped it too. I packed a few clothes and too many books. I saw Leo's cello standing in the corner and allowed myself a moment of yearning, wishing I could take it with me, but I knew that was out of the question. Besides, what I really wanted was the music, and I couldn't play. I wanted Leo. I was going back to Texas, to Dallas. Somehow, I was going to disappear myself. Maybe there was a space out there for disappeared people. Maybe that was where I'd find Leo.
Okay. So, Magic Jack ATX is coming up, and his guitar. Oh, no, not his guitar. Nice.
No.
You tricked me. See, that is, you are magical, right?
I did change things.
Did misdirect me.
I like to change things. I like to do that to teachers.
Oh,
Make them think one thing.
just remember, anything can be a paddle.
I don't know to be threatened or delighted on it.
Hey, and I got that look on camera too.
Cameras, yes, it happened.
You know, I want to talk about this, this book that was gifted to me about a month ago called Word. And it's a poetry book by a girl who is 17 years old. An amazing girl. Thom and I met this girl about a year ago in San Marcos at Wake the Dead, thank you. Surprisingly, she gets up and she starts off the top of her head, going right into it. And we're looking at each other like, man, how old do you think she is? I don't know, but she looks pretty young. And then her dad got up and he recited. And he had some stories that were based on his experience in the service. And I thought, this is very unusual, but great that he would show up and support his daughter. And so then she came the following week and she had another story. But she was nervous. She was very apprehensive about it all. She didn't understand the power of what she was doing and how delightful she was to the audience. But with continued perseverance and a lot of support, she kept coming back and writing more. And then she decided to start her own venue, which is going great guns, by the way. It's also in San Marcos, not too far from Wake the Dead. It's called Stella Cafe. And so then she decides to write a book. In the book, she said, I want to make sure, don't buy one, she said, I'm going to give you one. She writes on the first page, special thanks to my Heavenly Father for all He has done. Thank you, Dad, for sparking my love of poetry, and Trin, her younger sister, I think she's like 10, for doing the illustrations in the book. Thank you, Magic Jack and Spirit Thom, for mentoring me through this whole process. I couldn't have done it without you. Well, I want to tell you, just reading that in the front page of her book just changed everything. And then she also wrote in the back, and I think she did for you too. Her sister wrote at the top, Trinity Brown, thank you for supporting us, with a big smile. Dear Magic Jack, thank you so much for everything you've done to help me. I wouldn't even have a book if it weren't for you. And thank you to the moon and back. Don't have dreams, make plans. Caleb Brown. And if you have time, I can read one of these, but.
Yeah, oh, well, they'll tease us. Read the front page and the last page and then the poems.
The F word.
My favorite.
So wrote a poem because I'm sick of older men telling me that I need to talk with confidence. Maybe if you paid attention to what I had to say and stopped degrading women, I would have this confidence you speak of, don't tell me I need to put my vocabulary on a diet. Supplement my words for your vocab plan. Weigh my like and ums on a scale so my language will be pretty. Meet society's standards of a perfect woman. Wear makeup so a man can see I'm pretty enough to be tied down to. As if my love is a prison sentence that they took the plea bargain for. I was asked why I wore makeup if I am pretty already. Do you tell that to every girl you try to charm? Like, maybe she was born with it, or maybe it's Maybelline? Like, maybe she was born into society's cookie cutter standards, or maybe she speaks on her powder mask maybe she spreads her powder mask every morning, hoping she might be lovely today, or loved today. He told me I'm too pretty to know what oppression means, too blonde to know who is running for president, too bubbly to know what it feels like to be discriminated against. She wants the degrading of women to stop. Speak up and stop saying like and so you can be respected, he demands. Well, I didn't know that my extra words like made me less of a person because you can't seem to keep my word count in check. Are you balancing my words like you balance my paychecks? Do I get 77 words to your 100? Are you budget cutting my language? Am I taking up too much of your time? Can I veto the bill that limits my language to the dictionary of previous generations? I will not let past bureaucrats lock up my tongue in a standard testing textbooks they are feeding the involuntary obese children today. We bully them for being fat, but their free or reduced checkbooks can only afford to taste the 1,000-calorie meals we give them for school lunches. Sit down and shut up. This is a man's job, they will say to my opinion. But old man, mark my words. I will be in the CEO chair of the next company that puts your ego out of business. I will evict you from your high horse and force you to watch me as I rise to my throne, crushing anyone who tells me I can't because I'm like too young or too fragile or I do it like a girl. You could too if you tried harder. My like and will be the rearview mirror I use to keep my inferiors in my view. Let them not feel intimidated by the bland, harsh words you are accustomed to. Put my language into their hands so they can understand my dialogues like an instruction manual and be inspired to be the feminist revolution I will force to be revived. He gasps at the F word, feminism. I can hear his mother tossing in her grave, remembering the hot, agonizing days that she spent protesting for my rights, but his cigar and gentleman club buddies would not approve of a piece of meat. Talking with such strong language to a man of his importance, but that's what feminism is. Feminism is strong. Too many people think feminism is baggage, but it's lighter than the burden of my future in society's captivity. There is a reason they made all of the villains queens. They are scared of our power. 17 years old.
Stephanie Johnson.
I want to thank Teresa for putting this together, and I want to thank everyone for being here today. I think everyone here is awesome. I've been now coming here for about 4 months, and I'm really blessed by knowing all of you. I'm also in all of you because we're very talented people. Today's about change. Change is slow, and sometimes we fear that change, but if we face our fear, we move forward. Friday was a year that I came out at the VA, and I gave a presentation a year ago in June. I will be giving another presentation on the 29th of this month. One other thing that I have been doing for several years now, and that is writing, and that's what actually brings me to you, because I've really gotten into writing. Some writing that I've done hasn't been very pleasant. Had to write a lot of letters to attorneys and all of that. Well, there's another type of writing that I enjoy doing, and that's writing about my journey. And I just finished one. This is it. But there is something that, something else that I have really got into, and back in March, I was feeling kind of down, and doing a lot of thinking about being pushed away, about being alone. But I thought about something else, and within about 10 minutes, this is what I came up with. Inside of me, you don't know what's inside of me. You cannot see what's inside of me. Inside there is love, kindness, and fear. Did you hear? I said there's love, kindness, and fear. Inside I'm a woman. That's what you don't see. Inside of me there is courage. Courage to be who I am. Courage to face scorn and fear. You'd rather tell me I cannot be who I am. A woman whose love is real, don't tell me it's not what I feel. You don't know what's inside of me. It's just who I am. I'm a woman who's free to be who I am. Your blindness denies the kindness deep inside. The kindness this woman expresses every day to the world outside. You cannot see what's inside of me. You don't know the fear. You don't know the tear because of the fear. Many times this year, there will be another tear. Another life lost because you did not hear. There's a woman inside of me. That's who I am.
Valentin. Take over.
Yes, so I stumbled upon this today. I'm here from El Paso, Texas. There's a conference going on this week, and I'm here to film and to present. And I'm a filmmaker and a writer. I wrote this book called South Sun Rises. It came out about a year and a half ago. And it tells the story of my mom and my father coming over from Mexico and off into El Paso. In a jokingly manner, I say it's like Godfather 2 when Uncle comes over and the boat's minus the mafia. It's like a middle class version. And it was enough for me to get a book published by a press out of Santa Fe, Western Edge Press, who published Jimmy Santiago Baca's Marketing and Meditations in the South Valley, and John Nichols' Milagro People work. It took me years to get that done. And I wrote this primarily in Manhattan with Miguel Algarin, who started the New York Poets Cafe in the Lower East Side. So he's a good friend of mine. I was lucky enough to have that kind of support. And it was a recipient of the Southwest Book Award about 3 months ago. I learned that. And so that was a big deal, you know. And it's bilingual, okay? So one page is English and the other page is Spanish. So, and that's why I'm here with the conference. It's about getting Mexican American, Latino books into school districts nationwide, both colleges and universities. So I'll start off with the first one here. It's called India. Underwater currents and dirt churn water. The Rio Grande frolicking energy into the sides of Mother Earth, sculpting the landscape, North America's sacred vessel of opportunity, of tragedy, the heartbeat history of America. In 1977, the river raged, developing its myth, tempering its torrents long enough for those who dared to cross to discover the courage in the crossing, or find death stamping its turbulent signature onto the spirit of the Rio Grande. The river spreads and grabs the dirt, and it digs through the broken terrain. It realigns the creosote bush, causing the nopal to turn and bake in the Chihuahuan desert, bathed in the dry peach, orange, and sunset-covered El Paso and Juarez. And you see, that's where my burro is, what I've come to know as home, my hood, my place, the foundation of it all. And through my mom's womb, I hear her prayers, her thoughts, the desperation that Mexico was not going to provide her with the opportunity to fulfill her desires, her dreams. And that is why she crossed in Rio Bravo. So that's the first one. I'll read you one in Spanish, that way you can see what the Spanish is all about. And this is also, it was an attempt of me reaching out to my father. My father was killed when I was 3 years old. I was a baby. I had no idea who he was, right? It was an accident in Juarez, and he was killed by what they call the Rouletteras. Rouletteras are the buses. And he was a journalist for a TV station, and he was a guitar player. So it was my attempt of reaching out to him and getting to know his voice through surrealism, through folklore, through metaphor. And this is in Spanish. Padre muerto. Mi padre se murió y nunca lo conocí. Y él tampoco supo que tenía hijo. Hilario, mi papá, padre muerto siempre vivo. Habla con un espíritu constante. Me demuestra el lugar donde mis sueños se convierten a sangre y a hueso. Moviéndose con pasión, tocaba la guitarra, mi pasión era palpable. La sentía caliente, fuego, gritaba en mi boca. Significante, mi hijo. Vívelo, conócelo cada día. Aunque ocurre lo que ocurre, eres importante. Llena el universo. My father died. I never knew him. And he also never knew he had a son. Hilario, my father, my dad, dead now, forever alive. Now a spirit constant shows me where dreams become blood and bone, moving with passion. And you see, when I played the guitar, my passion was palpable. I felt the fire of life with every strong and lyric sung. Significant to my son. Live it, know it each day, regardless of what has occurred. You are significant. Go out and fill the universe. So I've actually presented here before, a year ago, and they hosted me. I was touring, I did Dallas, I did here, and then I went to Houston and San Antonio, but Malvern I was lucky enough to have them host my book signing here, so that was really cool. I'll do one more. How many of you guys knew who, and it's also really cool to see that there's a healthy scene here, poetry scene. I used to live here, I was 20 years ago, and it was a whole different time. I don't know if you guys are familiar with who Raúl Salinas was. Yeah, Resistencia. He was a good friend of mine, so I grew up with him as an artist when I was living here, right? And so it's kind of, it's good to see that you guys are doing something cool, because when I came last time, I couldn't find an open mic. I'm like, what happened to Austin? I'm like, what? But it's really
You
cool
guys
to
want
see.
Zeno?
I'll get it. I'll close it off with this last one here. It's called Anew. The past cuts through me, The past cuts through me and creates a giant putrefying wound. It bleeds most when I'm out and about trying to enjoy the luxuries of my border city. And right as I fall asleep, it pains me as it yells out loud. It harmonizes with the barks and the howls of desert dogs, midnight ambulances scurrying to save another dying body. And I'm searching for my burning wick in the pitch black of night. No stars or moon in this part of the world. Nothing to illuminate or guide. No God, no God. A starless, wrathless night dream. It reassures my fear that in this place you really are alone. And it's over with the sun streaming through my eyelids, touching my parched and scarred facial skin, caressing my overbite. And my loved ones and all have all died. We've all died. Every morning of my life is the beginning of a timeline end, where now each of us is born anew. Thank you.
No.
What do you call it?
Most people know me as Sue, but now that I'm doing some things on social media, there is a Sue Donahoe who is very famous. I am not so famous. She is, you know who I'm talking about, the very famous basketball coach. So if I used my middle name, which is how Thom knows me and most people in Austin do, then you'd never find me out there. You may not be looking for me, but I hope somebody is. So I'm Evelyn Donahoe. I am not a poet. I always admired poets, and I love poets. But I am a writer. And so since I was given an opportunity to do this, I'm going to give you a really short story. It's a flash fiction that I wrote as a challenge when I was in New Orleans a couple of years ago. I met another friend there, and we agreed to meet in a bar, pick a title, go back to our separate places, write a story, and email it to each other before we went to sleep. The title we chose was No Parking. He's a young, gorgeous man, so he wrote about all the women he's been sleeping with. In New Orleans. I have none of those things in common with him, so I wrote about terror. So there's no place to park. There's no place to park. What am I going to do? I'm almost out of time. It's been 27 minutes since he called. 27 minutes. I have to be back in my house in an hour, or I may never see my niece again. He knows how important she is to me, and he knows that these rings mean nothing. Oh, it says no parking. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this spot. It's right in front of that damned Carter brothers' house, and he knows about the Carter brothers' history, and that's why he is making me leave the rings there. The last time an 11-year-old girl disappeared, and the Carter brothers had anything to do with it, they chained her in that house 150 years ago and drained her blood. She barely made it to the police station alive, and that's when they found the great vampire brothers of the French Quarter. And he knew this, how cruel this man is. And he knows me. He must know me because he knows about these rings. I jumped out of the car. I took the space. It was the only space I could find. I was out of time. I jumped out of the car. I ran up those stairs. I could feel blood in the air in that horrible house. I dropped them just as he said I should into the umbrella stand at the top of the stairs, and I heard beep, 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 the sound of a tow truck. If I don't get back in the car and get back home, and I'm home when he calls, it's going to take 20 minutes to get there. If I'm not there, what'll happen to my niece? I ran, I stumbled on the stairs, I fell halfway down, I got to the door, and the tow truck was on the other side of the street. Thank God.
Justin.
Oh.
Hello, y'all.
Hey.
All right, so I guess the topic's changed. I got a bunch of poetry I would like to write down, and I have one that's about change. It's also about time and numbers. Put this one up. All right. It's called 1 to 10 and over again. I believe in insanity because this world is insane. It spins in circles over and over and over again. So here goes like this. Tick, tick, tock, what makes me tick? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, see. See what you're sight, recite what you see. Adore the love, what the fuck for? 4 is the fool that opened the door. Ride, drive, thrive to the 5. You live your life and then you will die. 666, my lady Jezebel with the tail and she's driving me crazy. Crutches the cane, almighty is 7, and maybe the what if there might be a heaven. Cycle the cycle, insane infinite. Hate the wait, finishing late. Holy nun, Nina, none of the 9. All of these tricks deceiving your mind. Tension of 10, expand to expand your attention. Wisdom of words sink in when you listen. Something that speak has meaning, has mission. 11, the elephant who never forgets. 1 next to 1 is the eye in the sky. And who is that guy? The Lord in the skies. 12, 12, 1 to the 2, 2 to the 3, 3 equals C, so see what you sight and recite what you see. Yeah?
Brian.
I too have a book for sale, much like everybody else in here. Find me if you want one. I'm not hard to find. I have a certain look and scent. Yeah, and it wasn't edited by the guy from New York Poetry Cafe, but I did get drunk there with the cowboy from the YMCA one night. Yes, it was surreal. So, I guess I have a couple, if you don't, but they're all short. Rusted old furniture. It squeals like hot rod tires. It moans like an aging baritone porn star who smokes 2 packs of menthol Benson and Hedges a day and sags just like her breasts. It doesn't look good in the dining room next to the fine china. It clicks like the Zippo your grandfather took to war, but it can get the job done. Am I talking about furniture or myself? Stability is unattainable. Your left leg was found in a salvage yard. Paychecks are like rare birds, and the bed is a wasteland. Yet when someone offers you sanctity, you get scared. Too many scars. And you're unsure if you're ready for more. Grab the knives and give it a shot. You can always just back away slowly. Let's see if I can find it. This is unrelated but related. The Dancer. My Achilles and my Eros. The dented rear fender because I can read the signs and you weren't even looking at the road ahead. Our hands clasped together and my other hand on your hip. Your arm over my shoulder and the roadmap for this song. Even if we can't figure out how to fold it while driving with our knees. But when we tango, you can be the star. But when we swing, I call the shots. A whisper and a slight pressure of the fingertips, subtle but readable. Both let us know which way we're gonna turn. They're playing a Goodman tune, baby. Let's dance, my darling. I'll spin you around. And my last one. Light filled the room. And it wasn't just from the sun farting itself awake at 7 a.m. 4 blue-gray eyes opened and met at the same time, and we smiled. Given she wasn't wearing her glasses, which is when I suppose I look my best. But she saw me. A closed-mouth kiss because we all taste bad in the morning. But one has to start their day properly if one is to eschew oatmeal. Eyes in which I could take an island vacation, washing the white sand from my feet in clear blue water, creating a smoky blue-gray whirlpool of relaxation. I bought the ticket, so I'll take the ride, because it sure looks like fun.
And our last poet of the evening, Thom.
Oh.
I love how he shocks.
He's going on first.
W.H. Auden said poetry changes nothing. This changes everything. I found out this morning there's punishment. We know that all walls will fall in time, and cages are jails. Release all wild wilderness. Release non-violent offenders back into circulation. Release civilians, especially women and children, to freedom. We are in each other's skin. One world, one freedom. I live in a society that incarcerates more than any other. I live in a society that kills those suspected of killing. I live in a society that still sells tickets to zoos and circuses. Gently I ask that we set ourselves free again. Release the wolf, the bison, the eagle and the wind. Free dolphins, turtles from plastic fishing nets, and release all Palestinians. The dark night of the soul, the poet knew, Kierkegaard knew, Dostoevsky knew, Rumi, Hafiz, Layla, Mirabai, Kabir knew, signposts of spiritual desolation, aligning light among all troughs of despond. When Job howls less than autumn, when Milton knows all paradise is lost, when even Blake sings dark songs of experience. Heaven and hell morph as Zen doppelgangers, pain, loss and grief. They're pallbearers at the funeral of hope. Despair finds a darker, deeper cellar beyond nothingness.
There's always a space where darkness rules. There's deeper darkness where no one dare rule. And then the deepest darkness which has no words at all. And weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth cry into silence which is broken by the singing crystal light and the dark night of every soul tonight. Where every day is a new day, even our second-hand days, even ennui, even existential angst, project emotions, and a blank and black spinning space, make Mars movies, film moon landings, then watch our replication as if it were the truth. Theory, another skeleton, dress it up with facts, it becomes a mannequin, capable articulation, Siri, robot. We're in the middle of adjusting adaptations. Come in, Darwin, meet Einstein. You too have been causing controversy ever since that atomic bombing. Sentient four-legged creatures have been suggesting retrograde devolution, wars, starvation, collective punishment, while you stare at stars and make new theories. It's true, Stephen Hawking, we live in data overload, but more is suppressed to X-Files science fiction. So scientists can Asimov, Clark, Bradbury their Heinlein maneuvers while secretly accessing WikiLeaks, Assange, Manning, Snowden revelations. And we're all in this stone soup together. You want to change something? Add another pebble to the avalanche.
Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I absolutely loved all of our interpretations of This Changes Everything. Our next gathering, of course, is here, and it'll be July 10th, and the theme is Twisted Legacy. You guys did this much damage with This Changes Everything. I can imagine what's going to happen next month. Twisted Legacy. So, big hug to you all. I'm glad you did your assignment, which there are no mugs left on the table.
Yeah!
Because I had to wash all 20 of them and lug them here, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm lugging them back. It makes me very happy. Good afternoon. Bye.